So this morning we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 12. Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. We will be reading text 24, 4:12:24. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nastapesya Bhatresu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavitanaistike. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Tasya kila jagadhatu avam devasya sankhina pasadavya samprapto Netum Tvam Bhagavat Padam. Word for word translation. Tasya, his, Akhila, entire, Jagat, universe, Dhatu, creator, Avam, we, Devasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sharnginaha, who has the bow named Sharnga, Parsada, associates, Iha, now, Samprapta, approached, Netum, to take, Tvam, you, Bhagavat Padam, to the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. We are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries his hand the bow named Sanga. We have been specially deputed to take you to the spiritual world. Now we have the purport. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that simply by knowing his transcendental pastimes, whether within this material world or in the spiritual world, anyone who understands factually who he is, how he appears, and how he acts can be immediately fit for transfer to the spiritual world. This principle stated in the Bhagavad Gita operated in the case of King Dhruva. Throughout his life, he tried to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by austerity and penances. Now the mature result was that Dhruva Maharaj became fit to be carried to the spiritual world, accompanied by the confidential associates of the Lord. Translation again. We are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand the bow called Saranga. We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. Omakyana Timandasya Chinansala Slakaya Sakshu Ulmitam Yena Tasmai Sigurave Namah Chitchetaya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swam Palantikam Vandeham Shiu Shiyuda Padkamalam Shirum Vaishnavam Shah Shayupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakalita Shivishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanusita Deve Pranamama Haripriye Pankha Kalpabhisha Kripas Nivesha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvashesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarane Srila Prabhupada ki. So it's amazing this Vishnu to disappear. I'm your servant, I bring you back to the spiritual world. That I don't think many people have that experience. Anyway, that's Dhruva Maharaj had the experience, and also Ajamila had the experience. That, but otherwise, oh yeah, in Bharat Bhagavatamrita, Gop Kumar finally, he goes to higher and higher planets in the material world, and finally he comes in the Brahma Jyoti. In the Brahma Jyoti, he arrives there, but at first the light is too blinding, he can't see anything. That, but then he sees that fell light, and suddenly he's in the Brahma Jyoti, and he hears Sankirtan, Harinam going on. Chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And he looks to this blinding light, and suddenly he sees a bull coming. And on the bull is Sadashiva with all his followers. And Gop Kumar is asking Sadashiva, just for your understanding, who is Sadashiva? In the material world, you have Shiva in every universe. That is Shiva Tattva, a little technical. We have said yesterday Krishna has 64 qualities. Vishnu has 60 qualities. Shiva has 55 qualities, but it's not Vishnu Tattva. The devotee asked Srila Prabhupada about Lord Shiva. Can Lord Shiva give liberation? And Prabhupada said no. That's only Vishnu Tattva. But there are still 5 qualities which are unique, we don't have, like he's all pervading also in the material world. That's interesting. But the origin of all these Shivas in all these universes is Sadashiva. And he's in the Brahma Jyoti. And he's Vishnu Tattva. It's not that it is the origin of all these Shivas. That's in Bharat Bhagavatamrita. It doesn't come from me, but I learned there. So Gop Kumar is in the Brahma Jyoti, and he sees this bull coming, Sadashiva with all his followers, and Gop Kumar felt very peaceful in the Brahma Jyoti. And then suddenly this wave of Ananda comes from the Harinam. And he's asking Sadashiva, why are you doing Harinam in the Brahma Jyoti? Well, Sadashiva said, it's to liberate all these impersonalists who are merged with the Brahma Jyoti, so that they can become devotees and go to the spiritual world. Anytime. Anyway, Gop Kumar was there for some time in the Brahma Jyoti. And then it's very peaceful, but not really what he wanted, not only peace. So he continued, and he went to the gate of Vaikuntha. And there he sees a four-armed form coming out of the gate of Vaikuntha. And he thinks this is Lord Narayan. And he starts to pray to this form. But of course, all these Vaikuntha Vasis, the male forms, they have 4 arms. And the form immediately takes 2 arms and put it on his ears. He did not want to be glorified as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and he said, I'm not a Supreme Lord, certainly not. But they have the same form as a Supreme Lord. You have liberation, that you get the same form. That, yeah. And so you get the same form. But still, there is a difference between Vishnu and all the male forms in Vaikuntha and Vaikuntha. Lord Vishnu has a Srivatsha on his breast, yeah. That Lakshmi. So that's a difference. You must know, but God Kumar was not aware. Anyway, so these are these Vishnu Dutas who are coming from the spiritual world to pick up devotees who have attained perfection. And what is the effect when you see them? That on Ajamili it had a deep effect, because they come when one chants the holy name at the time of death, even in Namabhas, that because Haridas Thakur says that Ajamil chanted Namabhas. That was not a pure name, because his heart was contaminated, but he did call out the holy name without any material motive. And that's Namabhas. And by chanting in Namabhas, he was freed from all sinful reactions. Interesting. And this Vishnu Dutas came, and also the Yamadutas came. The Yamadutas wanted to take away the soul of Ajamil because of his past sinful activities. But the Vishnu Dutas were very strong and cut their ropes with which they tried to drag away Ajamil's soul. That's subtle ropes, you can see them. But anyway, there was a whole conversation going on. Yamaduta said, it's a simple person, we have to bring him before Yamaraj. And then the Vishnu Dutta said, we think that you don't know the principles of religion. This person has chanted the holy name and is free from all sins. Anyway, the Yamadutas were frustrated and went to Yamaraj for an explanation. He said, we were thinking you were the highest authority, but there seemed to be other authorities. We are frustrated. How can we do our job here if there are different authorities? And then we know that Yamaraj explains, I'm not the highest authority. That there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the religious principles are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he explains. But then you have Ajamil, he has this near-death experience, and he sees the Vishnu Dutas, like Dhruva Maharaj. What is the effect of seeing them? What was the effect of this experience? He was a very simple person, and he got rid of his reactions by chanting the holy name, and he hears this conversation. That 3 lessons he learned from it. That or 3 benedictions he got. The first benediction is, if you have seen this Vishnu Dutas, they are so beautiful, so attracted like Krishna. We cannot forget them. We cannot forget Krishna anymore. That's also Maharaj Parikshit had the same experience in the womb of his mother. He saw Krishna in the form of full-armed form with clubs whirling around to protect him. And what was the result? It got the name Parikshit. Parikshit means one who observes. He was always observing everything and thinking, was this the person I saw in the womb? Was this the person I saw in the womb? He could not forget them. So Ajami could not forget them. So the first benediction. The second benediction was that he heard this conversation between the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas. He became aware of his fallen situation and of all the sinful activities that he did. The second thing he learned is he got a determination. I will never do these sinful activities anymore. And that is what we need in all of us in devotional service. That determination, I will never do these things anymore. That material energy is very strong. We may still fall down, but still we must have the determination, I will never do this. And the third benediction was that his life was prolonged. He got a life extension, that he didn't have to take life extension pills. He got a benediction from the Vishnudutas. Krishna extended his life to give him the opportunity now to perform sadhana and to purify himself further. And Arjuna went also back to that. And after he finished all his sadhana in Hardwar, Himalayas, that he became pure. So we see here, seeing this Vishnudutas, what first is very rare, and the effect is very deep. So we have here in the purport that Prabhupada makes a few points. He says, why did they appear before Dhruva? Because he remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of his life. That we have this mind. This mind, if you become in a crisis situation, what is the mind going to do? It tries to take shelter where it has taken shelter from during the course of one's life. If one does not take shelter during one's life of Krishna, it will also not happen at the time of death. It's not that it have happened by chance. No, of course there are exceptions. That exceptional mercy of the spiritual master, exceptional mercy when you do Sankirtan. That if you do Sankirtan and full engage in it, Lord Chaitanya will appear at the time when you are passing away and whisper the holy name in your ear. But this is special mercy. But ordinary, no. We can see that in our lives that we have many difficulties. And Lord Queen Kunti, she prays for these difficulties because she said, if I have these difficulties, I take shelter of Krishna. And then I'm Krishna conscious. So she prayed for difficulties. In Kali Yuga, we are very fortunate. You don't have to pray for difficulties. They will come on their own accord. But we should use these difficulties to take shelter of Krishna at every moment. We have every day, our life, there are obstacles, there are so many things that happen but Prabhupada writes, is the mature result that Dhruva Maharaj did all these austerities and penances. He did severe austerities, Dhruva Maharaj, that he did these austerities at Dhruva Tila. We have been there, very nice, that in Vrindavan, that Vrindavan Mandal Parikram became the Dhruva Tila. It's not so far from Vrindavan. But he did his severe austerities, but his austerities was not only the fasting, but his austerities were also that while doing these austerities, Narada Muni instructed him to make a deity. And you look at the deity, he said, and you chant constantly, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It was constantly glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by that his mind was fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was taking shelter for a material reason, but that doesn't matter in the beginning. Krishna, Sukadev Goswami says, Akama Sarvakama Muktakama Udirate. Yeah, Akama Sarvakama Muktakama Udirate. Shayeta Paramam Tivrena Bhakti Yogina Chiveti Purusamparam, no. Kamesh Kodesha Churnismutmamas, no, that's not a verse. Akama Sarvakama Upan Sarvakama Udai. Kevrena Bhakti Yogina Chaita Purusamparam. I have to be patient. Krishna gives me the verse. But from the heart, I have to wait a little. I'm too passionate. I have to wait till Krishna gives me the So Akama Sarvakama Mokshakama Udira, that whether you don't have material desires, have a lot of material desires, or desire liberation, it doesn't matter. Tevrena Bhakti Yoga, with great power, you perform the Bhakti Yoga, that Charita Purushamparam to the Supreme Personality of God. So that's important for us, whether you have material desires or not. What happens when you come in contact with Krishna? You become purified. And you will become purified from these desires. Therefore, we use the dovetailing technique, that our material desires we use in Krishna's service if it's compatible. If we have simple desires, we must stop. There we say no, with determination, like Ajamil. No. But all other desires, if we can use it in Krishna's service, then we become purified by it. We cannot jump to the highest platform. We have our material Swadharma, our spiritual Swadharma. So our material Swadharma must be used in Krishna's service. And then it becomes gradually spiritualized. And at the end, it's all spiritual. So that is the process. Austerity and penance. So the real austerity of Dhruva Maharaj was chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and worshipping the deity. That was his real austerity. What's our austerity? Chanting 16 rounds, follow the regulated principles, and engage in Prabhupada's mission. That's our austerity. Of course, we have also the Bhagavatam morning program. This is our austerity. And we must do that austerity during our lives, day after day after day. That we have promised for the spiritual master, we have to chant every day. And if we do that every day, my Guru Maharaj said, Bhakti Charan said, that if you follow the process appropriately, you are on the boat of transcendental knowledge. You only must stay on the boat. Don't jump from it. Stay on the boat. Like a rich man, the son of a rich man, to get the inheritance, what must he do? He must stay alive, that's all. So we must stay alive in Krishna consciousness, whatever. And gradually we become purified. But we have to go to the austerity. That so Prabhupada quotes this verse here. Sanmakama samedham yami vedi tatsam yaktam punarsamanaitamam ichasarana. One who knows me, my appearance, my activities, my pastimes, he does not take birth again in this world. Because what happens when you get to know Krishna? First question is, how do you get to know Krishna? Hearing the Bhagavatam, you get to know Krishna. Verse by verse, gradually, he explains who Krishna is. The first two cantos, the second and the third canto explains the creation. So that we understand that everything in this world is connected with Krishna. Krishna is in every atom. He's the doer of everything in this world. The soul only desires. If we think that we are doing things, Krishna says, then we are mudas, fools, thinking ourselves the only doer in this world. But there is also another doer, that is material nature, which is under control of Krishna. And that explains. And then gradually, we learn here about Dhruva Maharaj following the process, that the fifth canto, the teachings of Rishabhadev, everything clearly explained in the fifth chapter. And we hear about all the miseries in this material world, so that we lose our attraction for the material world. And then after hearing the fifth canto, we think also, what to do. We are all mercy cases. And then the sixth canto, we hear Ajamil, that Ajamil, how Ajamil then attained perfection by the chanting of the holy name, the power of the holy name. And then we hear about the role model of pure devotion, Prahlad Maharaj, that and the prose of Bhagavad Dharma, that then in the second part of the seventh canto, then after hearing this pastime, Narada Muni says, Prahlad Maharaj is very fortunate, but how can we get this fortune? And Narada Muni said, you are much more fortunate than Prahlad Maharaj, because Lord Krishna is visiting your palace, is your servant, is your friend, and so on. But you should organize society as such according to the Varnashram system. That's the indirect process of Krishna consciousness, because then the entire population goes in the right direction. But yes, but then after Varnashram is not sufficient, then you must surrender. 8th canto, Bali Maharaj, how to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So gradually we learn. We learn about surrender, the chanting of the holy name of pure devotee, a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, and then we come up to 10th canto. It is said if we hear the Bhagavatam verse after verse after verse, at the end of the 9th canto, we must be nearly liberated. And then you can hear the 10th canto. Because that's important. The 10th canto, that Maharaj Pariksit said, Nivritta Serpa Yamanat, Propastak Schotschra Manobiramat. That yes, we are in the 10th canto, but to enter the 10th canto, Maharaj Pariksit, Nivritta Ser, you must be free from lust to understand it. And to become free, Nivritta Ser, Upakiyamanat, to become free from lust, Papas Sadak, you must take a medicine. Papas Sadak, Shrotva, Manobiramat. But Shrotva means hearing. Hearing, Manobiramat means absorbing the mind in the pastimes of Krishna, in the Bhagavatam. So that's the medicine to get free from this lust. And we must take that medicine before coming to the 10th canto. So I was in Koblevo in the Ukraine, the last festival we had, or the second last. Gerard Vetamats was also there, and he gave a class on that first. And the devotee asked a question at the end and said, but I'm taking the medicine, but I'm not free from lust after such a long time. And Advaita Maharaj said, increase the dose of the medicine. Then we have to increase the dose. Anyway, I'm just giving you that advice from Advaita Maharaj, that if you have that problem, I think I'm not the only one with that problem. And then you have the 10th canto. So that is the process of the Bhagavatam. That process is called, Dhruva Maharaj. This is called Bhagavad Vidhi. Bhagavad Vidhi is because you have 9 angles of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archam, Vanam, Dasyam, Satyam, Atmani, Vednam. The first three is hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, remembering about Krishna. And that's the Bhagavatam. And that's the easy process that if we want to learn in a first class, easy way, then we hear the Bhagavatam and become attracted to it. And if you become attracted to Krishna or attracted to the Bhagavatam, it's the same. But best to hear the Bhagavatam explains by the person Bhagavat. So Srila Prabhupada explains in this verse of Nastavesa Bhattacharya Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. He said there are 2 Bhagavatas. There is the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. And you have to learn the book Bhagavat from the person Bhagavat. So Hari Sauri, he gave a seminar for many years. Now he cannot do it anymore. but he gave the seminar on the living Bhagavat, Srila Prabhupada, the living Bhagavat. And that is our great fortune that we have Prabhupada who is writing this purport here. And this purpose helps us to understand how the importance, if we want to meet these Vishnu Dutas, then we must think of Krishna during our lives and become attracted and take shelter and do this austerity and penance. Of course, that's explained in 551 by King Rishabhadev, that one should not be interested in the happiness of this world, which is available for horse and dogs, but one should perform divine austerities, the divine austerity of devotional service, and then one will get unending happiness. So that's also said by Narada Muni to Srila Vyasdev. Tashevaita Payote Kopido, Nalapyote Yatpamatam Yopa Paryata, Talapyo Dukavan Anyatoshikam Panin Savadaka Kabiya Ramasa. One should not seek for the happiness which is available in this world, but one should seek for, because this material happiness, it comes on its own accord. Like distress comes on its own accord. Nobody wants distress, but it still comes. So in the same way, happiness will come. One should not seek for that. But one should seek for that happiness which is not available from the lowest till the highest planet. And this is spiritual happiness. This happiness on this world, in this world, when you take birth, it's predestined. It's predestined. Astrologers calculate one's karma. And that's your happiness in this first you are going to have. Better not to go too much in it, you become depressed. so much distress that because yes, and that is in this world like that. Not only for individuals, also countries have their collective karma. And I looked once at the astrological chart of the Ukraine. It doesn't look good. Just that better to go for the real thing, the happiness of the soul, not the happiness of the body. Of course, we are so attracted to the body. Therefore, Krishna gives us prasad. We can take prasad and we become purified. That's the only sense enjoyment really that devotees have, prasad. So my Guru Maharaj always said prasad must always be first class, because that's the only that is purifying us. So we must lead a life of purification, develop godly qualities. And if we become more and more advancement, we become abai. We become fearless in this world. But first, that sattva samsuddhi, we must purify our existence. Bhagavad Gita said the yogi lives only for purification of his existence in the fifth chapter. That should be our activity. Engage in devotional service for purification. And the more you become purified, the less you suffer. So purification is important. That sometimes devotees suffer, but they suffer and they learn from the suffering. The suffering is a lesson that Krishna gives us out of love. That's difficult to understand, but he gives it out of love. He doesn't want us to suffer in this world. And if a devotee suffers, he learns from that. I must become serious in my spiritual life. So suffering is for the rectification of the spirit of the conditioned soul. That's why suffering is there. And the devotee becomes rectified. But the materialistic people, they just suffer. That's all. No purification. That they don't become wise, really. Some superficial realization made there, but no deep realization. But the devotee suffers to never suffer again. It's completely different. But even if a devotee is completely purified, Krishna may still give some suffering. Why is that? Why? Because as a vaccine, then we don't become attracted again. We remember, yes, this place is a place of misery. That, but Krishna can also give suffering for other reasons. That the Pandavas were suffering. But that Krishna, that was Krishna's lila, to give an example for us. But they didn't really suffer because they were on the transcendental platform. That because when you're always Krishna conscious, whether you are in hell or in heaven or in Vaikuntha, it doesn't matter. The devotee is always in transcendental bliss because the suffering is experienced in the mind. That we are not the mind. Once you don't identify with the mind, you are out of it. That anyway, I think I should stop talking. So, any question?
How to keep because our consciousness might want to like so it might affect us.
Yeah, for prasad and controlling the senses, there are two things here. That first, in the beginning, Prabhupada, he knew prasad is a secret weapon to attract everyone, and he encouraged devotees to eat more and more, to even you can fill up till here. And the devotees in the beginning, the Sunday feast was a mountain on their plate, and then they went for seconds. But yes, that interesting. Is this body is made of, actually is made of food, transformation of food, this body. That and every cell is changed of your body every 6 years, plus more or less. So if you during 6 years you eat only Krishna prasad, your body becomes Krishna prasad. But you're only doing that, then control of the senses becomes more easy. But still, there is a danger. In the beginning, Prabhupada said, but later he said, you must live more austere. It's very clearly in Bhagavad Gita and in Nectar of Devotion A devotee eats virtually just what he needs to keep body and soul together. And that's really what we need. Not eating out of lust, eating what you need. That Rupa Goswami said, prasad, eating prasad will help you to control the senses. But you can eat prasad, but not too much, because then still you will get uncontrolled senses. So we must regulate that, and that's very important, especially when you get older. When you get older, you have to eat less, because the body, the capacity of digesting is not so great anymore, and you need to adapt that. So yes, but mostly, most people, and also devotees, mostly eat too much. That Prabhupada said it's better to eat a little too less than too much, but it takes a while. But if you eat too much, you suffer, one way or another, either in the form of disease or other forms. When in the beginning, the devotees from America went to India, to Mayapur in the 70s. At that time, there were no bottles of water. Plastic bottles was not existing. So they had to drink the water from locally, and all these bacteria, they became sick and so on, diarrhea, but there was one devotee who never became sick. That was, now that's Bhanu Maharaj. And Prabhupada said, that's an exemplary brahmachari. He just eats what needed, and therefore he remained always healthy. But anyway, it's nice to speak about that from the Vyasa-san, but you must also be able to apply it. And mostly it's a lifetime mission to rectify it to the right amount, because it's finding balance. You cannot go to the extreme. That balance is important. Krishna speaks about that balance also. And that's for everyone different. But controlling the senses will only happen if you are fully Krishna conscious. As long as you are not fully Krishna conscious, it's always question of problem and possibility of fall down regularly. That unless we become fully Krishna conscious. Does that help a bit? Okay, good. I think we will stop here. Time for prasadam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai.